here's what we got going on. We did what, 2 sections, and then we went on a week break. So we're going to review the last 2 sections that we did. I'm going to give you a worksheet, and then we're going to get going. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call you up one by one. We're going to look at your grade, and we're going to look at what you did during e-learning. And some of you did fine, like, no, you did really well. Others of you are like, e-learning? Heck no, I'm playing PlayStation, right? I will show you what you're missing. It is, right now, it's a 0 in the grade book. I had quite a few people in this class decide, I'm not doing the chapter test and you can't make me. Literally. There are 4 people right now that did not take the test. It's a 0 in the grade book right now. You have until Friday to fix this. I'm not going to print a test out for you. I'm not going to bend over backwards for you. This is up to you. You chose to blow this off. It's going to be up to you to fix this. So I will show you what you're missing. It will be up to you to get it fixed. I'm being nice to you. I should leave it as a 0, but I will give you until Friday. If there's technical difficulties, and some of you had technical difficulties and you were, on the ball and you're like, I can't, I'm having problems with pictures and blah, 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 perfectly well. But if you were having technical difficulties and you did nothing about it, let me know. All right, call me, email, anything, and you chose not to do that, that's on you. That's why it's a 0 in the grade book right now. That's at least 4 of you didn't take a test, didn't take the test. And I'll make sure I let you know. But for everyone else, it was okay. I mean, obviously, we'd much rather do in-person learning than e-learning any day of the week. I have no idea what's going to happen, right? We could, tomorrow go back to e-learning. We may stay until the rest of the year in person, hopefully. But we got to be prepared for that. So you already know how Teams works. That process is still in place. Like right now, and probably for the rest of the year, we'll have somebody do e-learning. So that process of me putting in an assignment, me putting in the video of the lesson happens every single day. So bonus, right? That means you guys, any day that you want, can review the video of the class that you just took, right? So if you're at home, I post the video, even though I say 8 o'clock is when it actually posts. I actually have it in a little bit earlier there. I just give myself to 8 o'clock just to make sure I have time in case I got to do some family commitments. But every single night by 8 o'clock, that video is uploaded onto Teams. Also, the assignment is there. If you're sick or absent or whatever, remember, I'm recording right now. It's going out live right now, so you can watch the class live, which many of you did. Some of you, I got to see I first thought my video was going bad, but then I finally realized you had colored lights in your room, and it was crazy. You even turned in a test that was purple or something like that. I'm like, why is your test purple? And then I remember, oh, that's right, she has colored lights in her room. That doesn't bother you? Anyway, what's up?
Did you use Zooms last week?
Yeah, every day. Or last week, no.
Oh, okay.
No, we didn't do anything last week, but the week before I did. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick review. There's a bunch of these just so you have practice. The answers are on the back. This is section, what we on, chapter 7 or chapter 6? We were on chapter 7. So this is 7.1 and 7.2 review. And then we'll pick up where we left off starting tomorrow. All right. I'm going to do the odd ones here real quick. Since I got e-learners, I have to use my finger as a mouse. This is going to look horrible. I apologize for the bad handwriting. Let's see. Is this a proportion? Well, if it's a proportion, we know the product of the extremes and the product of the means have to equal each other. Well, let's see. What is 3 times 8?
24.
What is 2 times 12?
26.
And if the product of the means equals the product of the extremes, then the answer is yes, it is a proportion. That is how you do questions 1 through, somebody help me out, 1 through 9, apparently. No, not 1 through 28. Right, but look at page number 1. How many of these did I give you? All right, 1 through 10. That is how you do questions 1 through 10. All right, any questions on that? Yes.
So I have the homework from like that you signed like 2 weeks ago. Right?
We'll talk about it here when I talk to you individually. All right, questions on any of the ones 1 through 10 of what you need to do. Speak now. All right. All right, I said we're going to do this quickly, but we don't have to go that quickly if we don't. All right. Anyone call out anything 1 through 10 you want to see? 3. Let's look at number 3. Number 3, the only difference here is the numbers are larger. It's the same process. The product of the means is supposed to equal the product of the extremes. Well, some of you can do this in your head, some of you can't. 24 times 3, well, if you need to do some scratch work, then you need to do some scratch work. 24 times 3, 3 times 4 is 12, carry your 1, 72. So we get 72 is the product of the extremes, and the means will be 4 times 12. Well, I know that's 48, and those two don't equal to each other, so the answer is these are yes or no. This is a no. Questions? Is it yes or no on the back? Yes, it is. 4 times 12 does not equal 24 times 3. Okay. Last call for 1 through 10. All right, turn it over. 11 through 20. 11 through 20. So 11 through 20 is basically the same idea. It's proportions. I'll do 11 first. Except one of the numbers is missing. So once again, we rely on our famous, the product of the means should equal the product of the extremes. Well, the extremes are 2 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Now be careful. You don't have to do that math in your head. I just did. And the other one is 3 times n. This is a one-step equation. To solve this one-step equation, what do I do to both sides? Well, how do we get rid of this 3? I divide both sides by 3. Why am I dividing by 3? Because 3 is attached to n by multiplication. To get rid of multiplication, we divide. 3 divided by 3 cancels, and we're left with n, or 1n. And 12 divided by 3 is, so we get n equals 4, 4 equals n. Either way is correct. Questions? Questions 11 through 20 are done. Jaden, what's up? Let's talk about what Jaden is doing. So Jaden notices that occasionally you can see this relationship. To turn a 3 into a 6, either you're using multiplication or division, that would be, so that means top and bottom by 2, so therefore n is equal to 4. That works great until you get to questions 16. Look at question 16. What times 2 is 3? I don't know. Okay, so the point being is that yes, there are 2 ways of doing this. I would prefer you to remember the product of the means, product of extremes, only because it's only one that you have to remember. If you want to use the Jaden method, you got to remember 2 ways of doing it, right? Nothing that's wrong with the way he did it. So on this one, 2 times b needs to be the same as 10 times 3. 10 times 3 is, why am I writing a 1? 10 times 3 is 30. And 2 times b is 2b. Everybody tracking? Gianna, what do we do to both sides to solve for b? What do we do? Where's the variable? What's attached? How it's attached? Do the inverse. What are we going to do to both sides? Where's the variable? Left or right side? Look at the, how come you guys can't see this? I apologize. Doing this whole thing and you guys have been, all right. All right, Jenna, where's the variable? Left or right side? Speak. Okay, the left side is 30. The right side is 2b. Where's the variable? Okay. The one that makes the L is the left. Okay, what's attached to the variable? Okay, where do you see a 3? What's attached to the variable is a 2. How's the 2 attached to the variable? It's attached by add, subtract, multiply, or divide. If it's attached by addition, you will always see a plus symbol. 2 is attached to the b by addition. If it's subtraction, I got to write it backwards. 2 is attached to the b by subtraction. There'll be a subtraction symbol. If it's attached by division, there will be a fraction bar with a 2. If it's attached by multiplication, there will be nothing. How is the 2 attached to b? How do we get rid of multiplication? The inverse of multiplication is division. We divide both sides by the number we're trying to get rid of. I didn't make the decision to divide because I just picked it. I picked division because that is the inverse of how 2 is attached to b. Jenna, this needs to go through your head every time you solve an algebra problem. Where is the variable? What's attached? How it's attached? Do the inverse. 2 years you've heard me say these things. Okay? Next year, in Algebra 1, it's not going to get easier. It's only going to get harder. The algebra problems get harder. But the cool thing is this. Harder in algebra just means more steps. It doesn't literally mean harder. Like, oh, it's more complicated in the sense of, I don't know what to do. To solve a 7-step algebra problem, which you'll do next year, you still do the same thing. Where's the variable? What side is it on, left or right? What's attached to it? How are those things attached? You do the inverse. Right now, you guys, with just a little bit of instruction, could do a 7-step equation. Right now. The only difference between that algebra and the algebra we're doing is we have fewer steps. Last year is when you learned how to do this. This year is when you perfect it. Algebra 1 is where I don't teach it, I just say do it. Do not get to Algebra 1 and be clueless. If it doesn't make sense, why isn't your butt coming to tutoring? That's a statement for all of you, not the gym. If it doesn't make sense, you need to come to tutoring. If you sit there and do nothing, it's not going to make anything better. If you sit there and you're like, oh, I got to pay attention, I'm going to work, I don't get it, I'm going to ask a question, or I'm going to go to tutoring, then you're being a good student. If you sit there and get D's and F's and do nothing, first off, you might not make it to high school, you'll fail 8th grade. Secondly, you're going to get to Algebra 1, it's going to, kick your butt is a nice way of saying it. Everyone calls me, my current algebra kids we finally got to the hard chapter, but they all say chapters 1 through 3 are actually pretty easy in Algebra 1, and they all say the same thing, like, you've been lying to me for the last 3 years. You said Algebra 1 was going to be hard, it's so easy. And then we get to chapter 4, and all of a sudden the pain starts, and then like, okay, you were right. Right now in algebra, we're on chapter 6, and it's the hardest chapter in the book. And lots of kids are struggling. All right, and you will struggle as well too, most of you. Not all of you, but most of you. By the way, what was the answer here? B is equal to 15. Jenna, make an effort. All right, anybody else? By the way, I brought up 16 because Jaden said that there was an easier way of doing this. Look at 18, it's the same thing. I don't know what times 5 is 2 or what times 2 is 5. Look at 17. I don't know what 6 times what is 10. So you need to know this technique. Anybody else want to see one? But however, you can look at 19 and you can use Jaden's technique. And by the way, I use Jaden's technique as well too. I just memorize both ways. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then I get somebody that says that they think that they figured out an easier way. And they say this, and I don't know if you heard what Callie said. She said, wait a minute, I got an even easier way. I just do that times this divided by that. Isn't that what we just did? We did 10 times 3, we wrote 30. And we wrote a little bit more. We wrote 30 is equal to 2b. And then we decided to divide both sides by 2. Well, that's exactly what Callie said. 10 times 3 divided by 2. Absolutely 100%. But I do want you to realize you're really doing algebra right there. You're just choosing not to write the steps. Perfectly fine. I can live with that. Anybody lost on that, or would it cause more confusion? Yeah. We're going to get to those in a second. All right. Anybody else? 11 through 20. You want to see one done? Now, the rest of them are, oh my word, word problems are scary, right? It turns out that they're actually all pretty simple. You're just setting up proportions. So let's look at 21. Every one of these, there's lots of words there. We're simply setting up a proportion. Anybody ever been to Poland before? All right, I've been there one time. All right. I believe they're on the euro now, but I don't know when this was made. But back when I went, it was this. This is called a zloty, right? The currency of Poland is the zloty. The exchange rate is approximately $1 for every 3 zlotys. At this rate, how many zlotys would you get if you give them $3? Watch how easy. I'm gonna make this smaller so I get some writing. Watch how easy this is. It says that the current rate for zloty is $1 is 3 zlotys. You just simply set up a fraction, a ratio. So $1, and you don't even need to put the symbols. I'll put the symbol. I don't know what the symbol for zloty is equal or is equivalent to 3 zlotys. So Z's. Then you're going to put an equal sign, and then you're going to do a fraction bar. You see what I did? What do I have on the top? Zlotys or dollars? What do I have on the bottom? So I'm done with this one. I'm done with this one. There will only ever be 3 numbers up there. Do you see where the third number is? Is it $1 or is it a zloty? Does dollars go on the top or bottom? So you put a 3 here and you solve that proportion for X. Does it matter? That's the cool thing about this is it can be written, watch me. If you write it this way or you write it this way, it's the same. Oh, I see what he's saying. Yeah, okay, I got you. He was just making a statement that after you multiply 3 times 3, since you're dividing by 1, it doesn't change anything. That's pretty simple, right? All of these are like this. It looks really hard. Jenna, pick what you think is the hardest one up there, 21 through 30. Pick one. Say something. All right, you're making a choice. All right, 21 through 30. 21 through 30. I'm picking 28 because it's got lots of words. Must be the hardest one. It's got a lot of words. 28. I want you to look and count how many numbers you see in the problem. There will only ever be, I have no idea why it's doing that. There will only ever be 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. Now you kind of read it. It says in UAE, that's United Arab Emirates, their monetary is called the dirham. The exchange rate is 4 dirhams for every dollar. How many dollars would you receive if you exchanged 12 dirhams? Right? Okay. Well, the exchange rate says that it's 4 dirhams for every dollar. So I'm going to put dollars this time on the bottom, not because I must, just because that's how I read it this time. I don't know the symbol for that. I'll put a capital D. I'm going to do over here the other way. I'm going to put dollars on the top and dirhams on the bottom. And watch, we'll get exactly the same answer. I dealt with that number and I dealt with this number. The last number is 12 dirhams. Let's see, I put those on the top. So I put equals, fraction bar. I put a 12 on the top. X is here and I solve that proportion. Over here, I put dirhams on the bottom. So I would put my 12 on the bottom. Notice it doesn't change anything in the sense of what are you multiplying, what are you dividing by? I'm multiplying 1 times 12. 1 times 12 is 12 divided by 4. I'm using Callie's technique. Is 3. So $3. Because it says find out how many dollars you would receive. Over here, 1 times 12 is 12. 12 divided by 4 is still $3. It doesn't matter. And I am doing this with my finger, which is why this looks horrible. We just got the same thing. Who's up? Jaden, what's the question? I believe 1 is the standard. When you look at any keyboard, it only has 1. I'm not sure why some people, myself included, put 2. Maybe it's a force of habit. Why do we use that symbol? There's a good thing on YouTube or Wikipedia about where it comes from. I always forget where it comes from. I want to say it's Spanish, why we use the S, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's Spanish, and I don't know the reason why. I do know that, okay, useless trivia of the day. I know where dollar comes from. The German word for valley is Tal, T-A-H-L, Tal. So the German word for valley is Tal. It turns out in Austria, is it? No, Austria. I believe it's Austria. Or maybe it's a corner of Austria and Czech Republic. There was a famous valley, and they made coins, like they minted coins. But their coins were so beautiful and so nice that everybody wanted them. And so they were called, anyone want to take a guess?
Dollars.
Because it came from the valley, they were not called dollars, they were called thalers. And thalers is where we get the word dollar from. Yeah. That's also, it was also the same valley where they originally discovered uranium ore, and where Madame Curie got her uranium ore from, that she made radium from. It's a very famous valley in both science and in economics. All right, any questions? All of these supposedly word problems are done exactly the same way. Answers on the back. Questions? All right, that is your review. Now comes the true pain, which is I'm going to call you up one by one, and we're going to hear the real honest truth of was I a good student or was I lazy? All right. E-learners, any questions? There is no one online right now. All right, so e-learners, I'm going to stop the video right here. If you have any specific questions, send me something on Teams. I also gave you all the answers for this as well, too, so you can see your answers. This was a review. We'll pick up on new stuff starting tomorrow. This particular chapter for us is probably medium. It's definitely not an easy chapter. It's kind of medium. It's going to be a lot of steps, So probably not up till now, no one's need to write down like, oh, here are the steps to see if it's proportion. But starting tomorrow, when we start doing things, we're doing scale factors and scale drawings tomorrow, you're probably going to want to write down, have a really good resource card for the test. All right, so I will end this right here. I go alphabetically.